If that, okay. So very welcome to this evening's session. My name is Amanda Horn, for anybody I haven't met before. Today we're covering the second part of our session on creating excellent and best practice content, looking at imagery and video. And I'm delighted today to be joined by Caroline Keane, who's the founder of Leaning Tree Media. It's a team of content creators, including videographers, photographers, post-production specialists, who specialize in producing engaging and compelling content nationwide for businesses of all size. And I'm delighted to say Caroline comes to us with very extensive experience from across the globe throughout her career in all aspects of multimedia, having worked not only in front of the screen as an actor, but also behind the screen as director, in production, and also everything from camera and editing as well. So really comes to us from both sides of the screen. So great to have such expertise with us today. And also then works in the area of website content development and has also experience in TV production as well. So Caroline, great to have you with us, and delighted to have you with us. So we might actually just get started, but just before we do, we might just take the first of our polls this evening, and just for our benefit really in terms of understanding how people are hearing about our programs and materials, if you could just answer the question here about how you heard about the course, it would be really helpful to us going forward for future events. So without further ado, if we have your responses to the poll question, Anya, we might move on, and over to you, Caroline. Welcome to the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amanda, for that absolutely lovely introductory. So guys, we've got a lot to cover today, so I'm not going to delay, and so lots of great information to share with you. So I will just just to let you know what we're going to cover today. So we'll be covering phone photography best practices, phone videography best practices for pre-production, for production, and for post-production. So we'll be covering both photographs, how to capture the best photographs and the best video. So like I said, we've got a lot to get through, so bear with me. And any questions that you have, jot them down on a piece of paper and I will get to them at the end of the session. Okay, so let's get started. All right. So just before we do, we're going to have a super quick poll, and I just want you to answer, just give me an answer to one of these questions. So which one do you find the most challenging? Capturing imagery, editing imagery content, capturing video content, or editing video content? You want to jot that down there quickly, and then we'll have a look at the results. Okay, it's coming in at it's looking like the editing video content, it seems to be the most challenging. Yeah, and the next in then is capturing video content, and then we are even then on the imagery on the photographs. Okay, cool. Right. Well, the good news is that we are going to be covering some of the editing process at the end of the session, so we will get to that. Right. Okay. Let's get going. Right. So the first thing is very simple, but it makes a massive difference if you just keep the lens of your camera clean. We pick up all sorts of dirt and grime when we have it in our pockets, or where, you know, the kids are pulling and chucking at it. So just always maybe keep maybe a little microfiber cloth you use them for your glasses, even a jumper, a t-shirt, as long as it's soft material, and just get in the habit of just giving that a quick little clean anytime you're going out to take videos or photography. Just get in the habit of doing this every time. So once we've got a clean screen, we can get started. All right, so the most important thing, I think, in photography or video is composition. And the rule of thirds is one of the most basic composition rules, and one of the most important. It's basically two horizontal lines intersecting with two vertical lines. And this intersecting lines creates a reference point for which acts as guides for framing your image. The idea of the off-center composition is more pleasing to the eye and looks more natural than one that the subject is placed right in the middle. And it also encourages you to make creative use of negative space, the empty area around your subject. Now, I will be talking about negative space further in the session, so bear with me on that one. Okay, so we'll just move on. As you can see here, our tree here is intersecting the horizontal line and the vertical line, and that is the reference point in this image. And we'll just move on to another image here. So here we've got Dorsey Island, and in this picture, our reference point is a family. It looks like it's a mother with two kids going for a stroll. So that's our reference point. And look where that is. Look where the two lines are intersecting there. So where the lines are intersecting on the bottom vertical and the right horizontal line. So the focal point, like I said here, is the family. And also notice the horizon line here as well. It's very important that we keep our horizons on that top line and we keep it straight. And another thing to note as well, we've got a leading line. So that little lane there is our leading line into the horizon. And we are going to cover leading lines as well further on. So we just move on now to our next slide, and we have some more examples here of rule of thirds. So this is a lovely portrait picture of this lady. And if you notice, her eyes are on the horizontal line. That's a good place for her eyes to, a good place for her eyes to be on that line. And also you'll notice the headspace as well. I'll talk about headspace further in the session as well. It's very important that we don't have too much headspace and that the eyes are on that line. Now, you could have put this lady on the other side here as well. So it's up to you, whichever side. But as long as we have a lot of that negative space, that's also just a very creative space to have. So make sure to think of those things when you are setting up your next portrait image. And then we've got two bowls here, and the two bowls are intersecting these lines again. And you might ask, oh, well, why the negative space on the top left? It's just a creative way. And if you want to add text down the line, you can put it into that negative space. And then the third example here we have of the horizon line out at the lake. And you notice that this horizon line is keeping that whole image straight. So that is really important, that you keep your images straight and you keep them on that horizon line. Okay. So leading lines. Now, here we have an image from Sligo, from the the Horseshoe, the Glencarriff, I think it is. So we've got, the leading lines refers to lines that lead the viewer's eyes from one part of the composition to another. Usually these lines start at the bottom of the frame and guide the eye upwards from the foreground of the image to the background. So as you can see here, this road leads directly into the mountain. And in the middle example, you've got that platform, and you nearly would imagine that this platform would just extend out into that fjord. So, and then with third example, now it doesn't necessarily need to be a straight line, it can be a curved line, but you have to remember that it's leading you to the next point of reference in that image. And it's also a nice idea to pop in maybe a person into the image as well. It just adds more life and more movement to the image. Okay. So we're on to visual hierarchy. So here I'm coming back to negative space, also called white space. So negative space, also called white space, is the empty area in a photograph that surrounds the main or subject or focal point. And the main subject is known as the positive space. So here in this image, we see this lady sitting on a rock. And this whole area, she's also sitting on the rule of thirds, on the bottom left rule of third. This is known as the positive space. And then to the right, you can see that we've got the negative space, and it's a lovely calm lake, and it gives a great platform for us to add text. So our visual hierarchy is the principle of arranging elements to show their in order of importance. It guides the eye from left to right. And you also see here as well that we have a kind of a guide as to how many characters you would use for your large headline text and how many characters you use for your qualifying subtext. So another example here is bad versus good in the hierarchy. you'll notice that with the text here, we're trying to, there's a couple of rules when you are looking at visual hierarchy. Think about the size. The viewers must notice that there's a large text there. So have that afternoon tea with a view. That will be a large text size. And then you're going to have your subtext as well. So also think about your bright colors that attract attention, the more than muted ones. And then out of alignment elements also attract attention. And then repeating styles can suggest content is related. So if, for example, this hotel decides to create another picture and they use the same color codes as the one that we have here in this one, then the viewer will know, okay, well, this must be from the Grand Central Hotel. And then also remember that your more space around elements draws the eye closer to them. So in this example here, the good one, obviously we've got a lot of white space around that setup for the afternoon tea. And we're using that white space to incorporate the text. Now, I used the colors from the Grand Central, their color palette, and I popped in that for the afternoon tea with a view. So also thinking about colors as well. So maybe you can use your own branded colors. And it's also important to use a color that pops out. They say that black is a better color to use. And if you mix a black with a navy or a black with a gray, that is also a color that will pop out. Try working with your brand colors as well as much as you can. But if your brand colors are a little bit muted, add a little bit of a darker shade to it. And just to get that to pop a little bit more. Okay, so another, when we look back at this bad example, as you can see here, the text of the afternoon tea with a view, it just doesn't suit that image at all. It's more of a playful text. It would suit maybe more of a casual situation, like maybe a kids event. And also you notice the subtext as well is totally lost. You can't even see it. And the logo is in the wrong, it's sitting on top of a pillar, which you can't even see it. So think about, yeah, like this, in the good example, you've got a lovely white space, like a white background, so you use it as best you can. Okay, and here's also some other great examples of the visual hierarchy. And it's a great way to use text and logos along with your images to get your message across in a more engaging way. Okay. Right, so we're on to website versus social media. So creating content for website and social media are quite different. So when we have an example here of how social media images are a way to reach out and meet people, your potential customers. These images can be anything from seasonal content to things that you want to do within the area. These images then capture the audience and they drive them then to your website. And when you get them then to your website, you have the more professional images that will showcase what exactly you have to offer. And the best thing as well about creating visuals for the likes of your social is that it can be a bit more casual. You know, it doesn't need to be as structured or as professional as what you would be getting, what you would be producing for your website. And the great thing, obviously, as you know, behind social, you can put paid and you can put hashtags. So it's definitely a great way to work with different forms of photography for this one. So if we head on then to our different angles. So another great element for creating some really good photography or videography is thinking about the angles that you're shooting your pictures or videos at. The most common angle that we will all use, you know, and from time to time will be the eye level angle. It's just more of a real life view. And then another popular angle would be the high angle. A high angle shot shows the subject from above the camera. The camera is angled downwards towards the subject. Another thing as well about the high angle, this angle has the effect of making the subject appear less powerful or even submissive. So just be careful when you are thinking about the angles that you're using. A low angle, this shot is taken from below the subject. The camera is angled up at the subject. So what I've noticed as well, a lot of times people will, when we are shooting a lot, on Zoom, for example, In the last 2 years, I've noticed that a lot of people will, they just can't get the eye level right. So they'll be looking down at us, or they'll be sitting back like this and looking up. And also on your phone as well. I know that a lot of times that people will produce videos, but they're also always looking down at their phone. So just remember that, keep that when you are doing a piece to camera and you've got your phone in front of you, just remember to look straight in at the lens at eye level. Now, because you'll just be on the same level as your viewer, which is really, really important. So if we head on then over to more camera angles and framing. So in this image, you have this gentleman. He is sitting on a bench and he is the focal point of our image. However, he doesn't seem as powerful as what he would be compared to the second one. So this top image was taken from a high angle camera. And just by lowering the angle and keeping it at an eye level, it just makes him more focal, and it gives him more of gives him more importance in the image. So just by changing that angle, just going from moving your camera from a high angle and coming down to an eye level, it can change the whole framing of your image and the whole look of it and how a person is perceived in the image as well. If we look at framing can be a very creative way of producing your photography or your videography. So in this top example, I think this is Queen Maeve's grave in Sligo again. We have the cave opening framing the landscape outside. You can use a bridge, you can use trees. Actually, trees are quite a nice one. Actually, even just having the leaves in the foreground, and then having maybe a person in the middle, and then having your background then as well as maybe like a scenery, like for example here we've got this gentleman here. He's in the middle ground, standing on a rock, and we've got the arch of the cave then in the foreground. And now if we move down to this next example, we have this young guy on I think it's a young boy on a skateboard, and we have the pillars framing him as he is skating past. This is, I think, very powerful. It really draws the eye to the guy on the skateboard. This is a lot more effective than what it would be without these pillars. So like that, just be creative with your shots. Like, look at the area where you are, maybe move back a bit or go forward and just look to see what is actually close to the camera, and maybe move to get that frame, just to get that frame around your composition. Right, so we'll just move on here, and we are going to lighting, another really important part of creating your photos or your videos is lighting. So the most basic and important form of light is natural light. Natural light can help you make your products look or your subject look like it should be in real life. The best time to capture images is during golden or magic hour, and golden hour is the last hour before sunset and the first hour after sunrise. It creates a warm glow when the sun is low. If you are shooting indoors, place your subject in front of a large window. This just gives a nice soft light to the subject. Midday sun, a lot of people say to me, oh, it must be great shooting in the sunshine, but actually it's not, because it just creates harsh shadows. So what I would say in that situation is just get your subject into a shaded, just get them into shade, or even whatever your product, whatever you're shooting on the day, just put it into shade. And always try and avoid your flash. Yeah, it's not a very attractive, doesn't give attractive outcome. So yeah, maybe just avoid flash. If there is times where if you are struggling and you have maybe a silhouette, you're trying your best, maybe the light might be falling on the back of the subject and you can't move them and you just want to get a picture, you might just put on the flash just to light them up in the front. So they're light at the back and they're lit at the front as well. So, right, as you can see in that little graph there, you can see when is the best time. It's a good little graph to follow. And we are going to pop on to exposure and focus. So exposure is the amount of light allowed into the camera sensor. It affects the brightness of the image. And focus is the sharpest area of the image. It's the area where the lens works to highlight an object, a person, or a situation. And on our phones, for the purpose of this session, I'm using the iPhone. I know that there's lots of other people that use Androids or Huawei's, but generally the phones will have the same, they'll have the same setup on for cameras, for the camera setups, for the camera settings, they'll have the same system. So the autofocus lock allows you to lock the focus on your focal point. And this is important if you have a moving object, like maybe you're trying to get a landscape and you've got like some grass moving. So you just maybe just want to lock it on that particular point, just so the focus point doesn't start jumping on you. And you also have and on this as well, you've got an auto exposure lock, which allows you to manually adjust the exposure. And you can do this by moving the sun slider up and down, just where this guy's finger is on that auto lock, on that image. Just beside it, you have got a little sun, and you can just move that sun up and down. And that allows you to allow in more light or to close off the light. And a bonus tip for anyone out there that has the new iPhones or maybe the newer, I'm not sure actually if the Android phones, they probably do, but some of them have like the 3 screens. So they'll have a telephoto lens, which is absolutely a beautiful lens to have when you want to take you want to take some nice images that have like a depth of field to it. So if you have those lenses, make sure and just experiment. Just what I'd say when you're experimenting is just to move away from your subject, take the picture, and then move closer and put it back to the normal lens and take a picture and just compare the two and see which one works best for you. Okay, so, and we are going to head on then to phone videography. So if there's any questions that you have on the phone photography, make sure and keep those questions to the end of the session, and I will cover those for you. So as you know, we're flying through it at the moment. Okay, so when it comes to video photography, there's when you're capturing content for your marketing campaigns, there's just so many videos that you can think about. There's corporate brand videos, the product, promotional, explainer, testimonial, and how-to and live videos. Generally, I find that a lot of small to medium-sized businesses will be looking at doing some promotional videos, and maybe in time they might start looking at doing some testimonial videos. And then further down the line, they'll start looking at maybe doing some corporate brand videos. And in between, they might pop in and do a live video. So we are going to just talk a little bit about, starting and where do we get started in creating our videos? There's 3 stages. There is there's pre-production, production, and post-production. Pre-production is the process of planning the different elements involved in your video. Production, filming your content, and post-production is when you assemble all the content you filmed to make your final masterpiece to share with your audience. Right, so let's get started on the first one, pre-production. So pre-production, I would suggest that you would give yourself some time with this one. As the saying goes, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. I would say maybe look at about 3 to 4 hours for this, just to kind of get all the information together. I know you might think that's a long time, but it does pay off to get that work done beforehand. So what we need to do first is we need to figure out the video that we want to shoot. Is it going to be a promotional video? Is it going to be a testimonial video? Is it going to be a branded video? And then we need to figure out which channels this video is going to sit on. If it's a case that we're going to put it on, if it's a case it's for stories, then it's going to change the format of how we shoot it. If it's going to be for YouTube, then it's going to be a different way we're going to shoot it. So just know what channel you're going to be what channel you're going to put in this on primarily. We're going to look at then who is our target audience, what are the key messages we're trying to deliver in the video. And then what emotion are we trying to evoke? Are we trying to portray a happy emotion, a more serious emotion? So just think about those little things as well, because that'll all change the direction of how you're going to deliver your piece to camera, or what kind of visuals you're going to also capture for this video. If it's a case that we are doing a testimonial video, you need to prepare your questions for the interviewee. And they're simple questions. Generally, you're looking at about 5 questions and you're looking at about 5 questions. And the questions would range from like an overview of your business, any previous problems that you had, and how they found out about you being the company. And then what problem did you solve? And then would they recommend you or your service or your product? So those are just 5 questions that you can ask when you're doing a testimonial videos. These testimonial videos are very powerful. So I would definitely think about doing those further down the line. And we need to create a script. So if we are doing a promotional video, think about creating a script. This is really important, as opposed to just on the day, turning on the camera and just hoping that something will come out. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to create a script. And if you are creating a script for somebody, maybe a colleague in the business, just get them to write it out in their own words, because it will make a massive difference. Plus, it will make it easier for them to be able to deliver it as well in their own words, in their own language. Also create a shot list. And a shot list is just a checklist of the images that you're going to capture just to support your dialogue. And then we were going to look at creating an AV script. So an AV script I will talk about further down the line, further in the session, and then our storyboard, which I'll talk about in a few minutes again, and then location for shoot. So what I would do then is think about where we want to capture this video. Are we going to go to, we have to think about going to a quiet area. We need to think about the lighting. Is it going to be a busy area? So just think about all those things. For example, if it was a case that we could only shoot it and with the road, there's a road at the back of, behind us, and it's quite noisy, but it's the only place that we can shoot this video. Afterwards, what you should do then is grab a little visual of a car passing down the road and pop it into the video. That way that the viewer will be more forgiving if for all that noise that they can hear in the background. When they know what situation that you're in, just give them that little sense of the situation, just so that they will forgive you for that noise that you're going to have in your video. Also, if you're not on the road and you are in a lovely studio area, maybe a nice part of your office, you should dress your set. I have a tendency when I go into to do a shoot in a corporate office, I'll always go looking for a plant. I love to add a splash of greenery to the scene, and yeah, it's super easy. And all it needs to do is just sit at the offside of the interviewee, and it just adds that little splash of color. And then of course you've got to think about the equipment that you're going to need to use as well, and just basic equipment to get you started. But afterwards, then you can start look at incorporating more pieces to your collection. Right, so our AV script. So our AV script is a document where you break down a script into audio and visual parts. Audio and visual narrative are separated into 2 columns. One on the left will be your script, and then the one on the right then will be the breakdown of the shots that will match the dialogue. And then we also have Fáilte Ireland will be sending one out to you as well, along with this PowerPoint. So if you see here, I'll just quickly run through this, just the first couple of words. So more and more people are choosing sustainable options when lighting fires this winter. We all want products that perform well and produce the maximum amount of heat in our homes. So then we have to think about what shots will actually represent this script. So we came up with a drone of a frosty winter morning, ground winter shots, Carol carrying coal bucket to the fire, close up of bucket filled with coal. So just little things like that. Just think about the visuals that will support your script. And then if we pop on then to our storyboard. So you don't need to storyboard everything. You don't need to storyboard your testimonial videos, because you don't know what's going to be said on the day. You don't know what your interviewee is going to say to you. But what I would suggest, if you are doing your promotional videos, generally your promotional videos will be around 30 to 60 seconds long. You should really storyboard these little promotional videos out, because it just gives you it'll give you a better idea of the shots that you need to get. And it'll also give you an idea of how you're going to set up the angles and how you're going to set up the movement of the shots. So what you can do, you don't need to be an artist by any means. The little matchstick men are perfect. So also Fáilte Ireland will send you out one of the templates for this as well. Okay, so equipment. Yes, you're probably wondering where do I get started with equipment? Some of you probably already have some of these bits already, so that's a good start. but a tripod and audio are definitely key to get you going. The tripods, so I just grabbed these off of Amazon, and I know Amazon UK has bumped up the prices with postage, so I've gone on to the German site. But you can get, so a tripod, what I would recommend is, when you're getting a tripod, is to get one that reaches 160 centimeters. That way you can use it for when you're sitting down at a desk, or if you're standing up. Generally, a lot of the tripods, they're very short. They'll only get you as far as maybe like chest height, and that's no good when you're doing your pieces to camera. So definitely look at how high these tripods go to. And also then your audio. So we all have great audio built into our cameras, but it's not good enough. We really, really need to look at getting more of a professional sound when we're recording our videos. So what we can do here is, we have this little piece of audio equipment here. It connects directly to your phone. Just going to show you quickly. And this one's really, really handy because it just pops in here, and then you pop it onto your tripod, and then you clip on your little lapel mic then to your top here. The only thing about this wire, this one that has the wire on it, is that it can get a little bit clunky, and you could, trip over the wire and whatnot. So the next slide, I will show you some wireless mics as well. But that's just an average range of a price. You might be able to find something cheaper, or you might maybe find something a little bit more, maybe a little bit more substantial. But yeah, there's just a general idea of the prices there. So then, if you feel like you need to, add a bit more to your equipment collection, then you can look at maybe a ring light. You've got studio lights here. You've got a mini tripod if you're going to be just at your desk, maybe delivering to camera. And then if you already have a tripod, you just need to get a phone holder and a shotgun mic. And then there's some wireless mics as well. So I would definitely recommend down the line that you look at maybe getting some wireless mics. So the one I have here is the Rode mic. There's excellent audio. These ones, you've probably seen them already. A lot of people use them in fitness videos and things like that. So really, really good. So they're very compact. All you have to do is just clip it onto your top like that, and you're away with it. And there's no wires, there's no cables, and it's nice. And it's also good if you are doing testimonials. It's better not to have all those wires hanging out. It just doesn't look so professional. So definitely look. I know I have added the links to those, to where you can actually pick those up. I picked up a lot of those. I like to pick up my wireless mics in the camera shop in Dublin, either Cons cameras or Camera Kit. The beauty about buying in local is just that you'll be able to talk to the guys in the store, and they're really good. They're so helpful. Literally, you just tell them what you want to do, what you want to capture, and they'll give you an idea on the equipment that you'll need. So they might be a little bit more expensive, but they're definitely worth it for getting the information from them. And also as well, we're looking at a stabilizer, a gimbal. I definitely would look at putting that into your equipment list as well. When you get maybe a bit more advanced, it creates some lovely steady shots. Okay, and like I said, I've got all those links in the PowerPoint, which will be sent out to you. Right, so if we pop in then to framing the phone settings. So by default, our phone setting is generally set at 1080p at 30 frames per second. And to find those in your phone, you just have to, like I said, I'm on an iPhone here now, but you can just pop in and just head down to your camera settings, and then head over then to 1080p. And this is where you can change them if you wish. But by default, it should be on 30 frames per second. And the reason why we would change it to a 60 frames per second, if you want that clear image, and of course, with the larger frame sizes, gives you larger files, which obviously clogs up your phone. So just be careful when you are. Just make sure that you're not taking it. Make sure that you plan as to why you need to have that 60 frames per second. It just gives a clear image, and also in post-production, when you are editing, it gives you the choice then of slowing that image down as well, because you have gotten more frames in the image. So that would be the reason why you would do the 60 frames per second. And then for 4K, so 4K is one of our high resolutions. This 4K allows you to crop in. So if you want to zoom in, you can do that. You can crop into an image. So for example, if you had a landscape, if you had taken a video in landscape and you want to then change it into vertical for your stories, that allows you to do that. It gives you, keeps that information in there, because you've got so much more information. With the 4K, you've got a lot more information. So you can do that zoom in, you can do that crop, and you don't lose that information in the image. And then if you want to just do slow motion straight off your phone, you can, you got it. You can choose it on 120 frames per second, or you can go up to 240 frames per second. Just try experimenting with these. I know it sounds like a lot of information, a lot of there's a lot of figures there and whatnot, but just try and experiment with these and see what works best for you. Okay. And right, production. So now we're getting into the fun part, is starting to film. So what I would say before you start recording, first of all, is check your camera lens, make sure there's no grime or there's no fingerprints or whatnot on your phone lens. And then I would pop it onto airplane mode, or I would put it on silent. I've had a situation where we've been in the middle of a great interview, and after I telling like everyone turn off their phones and put on silent, yeah, they forgot to turn off on airplane mode, and yeah, we had a big interruption in the middle of a great piece of camera. Anyway, so power bank. We are working off our phone, so bring a power bank with you, and of course, you know yourself, tripod and landscape. We're shooting in landscape predominantly because you can always change it then in post-production. Lighting. Know where your lighting source is from, and be careful of your backlight. Background noise. Eliminate any background noise that you can, and beware if there's music playing. Just make sure that you can stop the music, because you don't want to be have an issue down the line for copyright issues. And then are you going to be using a lapel mic or shotgun mic? And your furries, if it is a windy day and you're outside, pop on this little furry onto your lapel mic. Sometimes they come with the lapel mics, and sometimes you might have to buy them separately, and they're about 10 euros. You can buy them online. So yeah, really good thing to have when you're in new conditions. So I would try and avoid your built-in mic as well on your phone. It's not a very professional audio source. Okay, so looking quickly now at our shot sizes. So we've got shot size means how much of the scene is included in the picture. Use different shot sizes in your production. For example, mix them up. So mid shot, maybe have a close shot, and then the next one a very, very long shot. Don't just have mid shot, or a close up, close up, close up. Just mix them up. And then we're going to look at our establishing shots. So for example, for establishing shot, that really is just the opening of the scene. That kind of sets the scene and sets the tone and the context. So with those shots, we're going to use an extreme long shot or a long shot. Then we're looking at medium shots. A medium shot is the most common camera shot. It emphasizes more of your subject while keeping the surroundings visible. So we'd usually use those for maybe setting up an interview with an interviewee, or for this situation where I'm in now, I'm in a medium shot. And then we've got a medium close-up shot. That's really from the chest up, and that kind of gives you more. It kind of gives more. You've got a closer view of the expressions of the interviewee. If they've got like a sad expression or happy expression, but it also keeps the background in focus as well. So yeah, so there are just a few shots that I would definitely be looking at, playing around with, and like I said, mix them up as best you can. So we've got so looking at headspace is the amount of space above the subject's head in a frame. Now, there is nothing worse than having too much headspace like I have right now, because it just leaves a very awkward feeling. I feel it's very awkward. So you really have to get in the frame and have about that much headspace between you and the top of the frame, and make sure that you don't cut off too much as well of the head. So just make sure that you really get your rule of thirds on, get your grid line on your phone to get your rule of thirds to put your interviewee into position. Okay, and we are going to pop on then quickly to our different movements. So I might just quickly show you on the camera here. Hopefully you can see it now. I'll just 1 second now. I'm just going to pop you back here to quickly onto this one. So with the camera movements, first of all, you're going to pop it onto your tripod, and we're going to go with so we have the pan. So generally the pan is just moving around from one side to the next, and that is good for an opening and establishing shot. And then we've got the tilt. So the tilt is good. You're just going from down and we're moving the camera up, and it's just revealing from the ground up to the sky. And now if we just look at the other shots. So here we've got the dolly. So the dolly is just moving in and moving back out. The dolly is, you would need to have the gimbal for this dolly shot because it's very hard to keep your hands stable. I don't think I've mastered it after the amount of years I've been working behind the camera. And also we're going to be, so now we've got, so the dolly shot is in and out, and the truck, as the word kind of gives it away, is just moving left to right. And then our pedestal is just moving up and down. But the best way to create these shots in a more effective way is to have them with a gimbal. So, and don't worry too much about the roll. That's quite an advanced one. So yeah. So then we are going to move on to interview. You said background. So if it's a case that your background is very messy, just move your subject a meter away, just so that you can create that distance between the two. Remember to place your subject on the rule of thirds grid and set your frame for make sure that there is adequate lead space or looking space, and the eye level should be at the camera lens. So yeah, so if you look here at me now, I am sitting on my line, looking space. So this just allows me for more breathing space. It also allows me to have the impression that I'm speaking to another person off the side of the camera, which gives a more natural view. And it also creates your side, works very well. And remember, eye level is always at the lens of the camera. Okay, so right, so we are going into our cutaways, our A-roll. So our A-roll is our piece to camera or our interview. So basically it's the dialogue. And our B-roll is the visuals, the visuals are the cutaways that support our A-roll. So our B-roll could be a picture of a lovely landscape, a case that the person in the interviewee was saying, like, I live in such a place, and we then cut to that area where they're speaking about. And then our cutaways then could be maybe like it could be another visual that maybe covers up there are pictures of, you know, it might be just an image it might be just a quick 5 second image that just covers over these cuts. And then your jump cut. So your jump cut is when you move one section of your A-roll and you cut it because you want to get rid of a cough or an or an ah, and then you join the two of them together. This then creates a jump cut. And I'll just show you then what I mean by jump cut. In this video, you're going to see 7 seconds of jump cuts and then 7 seconds then with the jump cuts covered with B-roll.
Over time, there will be cost savings in it. They have made our operation more efficient. Over time, there will be cost savings in it. They have made our operation more efficient.
Okay, so you can see there how the jump cuts, they were just, the screen was just jumping. So always be careful that you do not have any of those jump cuts in your videos.
Over time.
Oh, sorry there now. Okay, so in this video, I am going to so this video is, it's a branded corporate video. So I'm only going to play you 60 seconds of it. I just want you to just take note of the different movements, the different angles, and maybe some of the establishing shots and the medium close-up shots. So just have a quick look, listen, or a quick look and see what you can pinpoint out.
My name is Andrea. We're here in Chameleon Studio near beautiful Kinvara at the edge of the Burren. I am a fully trained art glazier and I have established Chameleon Studio in 2005. I work mostly with stained glass, glass painting, leaded panels. I work also as an artist with different materials, and I offer workshops, and I'm a framing specialist. The main part of Chameleon Studio is in working with stained glass, using either copper foil, lead or glass paint, using the same techniques that were used by the glaziers doing the beautiful church windows since the Middle Ages. I do a lot of commission pieces for people who want something special, maybe as a present, or who want something lasting in their house.
Okay, so I hope you had a look and picked out some of those points, some of the images and different movements that we went through earlier. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to pop on and we are going to quickly just go over recording voiceovers. So if it's the case that you don't want to be on camera and you just want to have your voice and you want to have lots of B-roll covering your voice, then what you can do is download an app, voice recorder, and pop into your hot press or under your duvet and record your piece to camera. Be careful as well that when you are recording, that you are not going into the red peaking zone, that you're in the nice yellow zone. Right, so that's just a little bit about the voice recording. And then we are going quickly then into presenting to camera. I would say familiarize yourself with your script, practice makes perfect. Be careful to use body language, using your hands. You know, it really does help as opposed to just standing still and static. So just be, use your hands and just be yourself. And do your piece to camera in sections. If you have like a minute long promotional video, do it in 3 sections. Do it in 3 sections and don't rush like I'm doing right now. And of course, smile. And at the end of it, just say contact or check out www for more information and go on a bit of a high there at the end. Okay, and what we're going to do is, so post-production, you all have wanted to know about how you edit. So I'm quickly going to go through this now. So Karen covered in her last section just a little bit about hashtags. So as you can see, again, we're just adding hashtags to an image so that it'll be more searchable. So we're going with 5 strong hashtags, and then make sure that they all relate to your image and keep them short. Okay, so management of your content. So you're after taking all this beautiful content, and what do I do with it? Well, what I would say is that you get yourself 2 hard drives and get yourself pop them into your laptop and save back up your content. Don't keep anything on your desktop because it could crash and whatnot. Okay, so when you have a folder created on one of your hard drives, and take away your other hard drives and put that away as your backup hard drive. So when you have your folder open, you create 4 folders: your editing software folder, your footage, your elements, and your exports. In your editing software folder, it will be the name of the software that you're using. For example, Vilmora, that will pop into your editing software folder. In your footage, you're going to have subfolders. So you're going to have your piece to camera folder, you're going to have your B-roll folder. Then in your elements folder, you're going to have more subfolders. You're going to have your music folder, you're going to have your logos folder, and then your exports. That's quite for your exports, you literally just have your exported video. So just be careful how you manage your footage, because when you go back in a few months' time and it's not all organized, you'll just spend hours trying to find it. So yeah. Okay, so Right, editing software. There's lots of different editing softwares out there, and I have used Filmora. I find that it is very straightforward. And the best thing about Filmora as well, you can use it on your desktop and you can use it on your phone. So what I would say, if you want to check it out, it is about $70 to buy it outright, which is great. But you can check it out. There's a free trial, but just if you are exporting, the watermark will be on there as well. So just to let you know, after doing a lovely, beautiful video edit, and next minute it's exported with Filmora all across it. So yeah, on your timeline, you will have lots of different layers. You will have all your visuals on the top layer, as you can see on the image that I have down below with editing timeware. And then if you look over here on the left-hand side timeline sequence, you'll generally have your logo. You'll have your overlay text, if you are going to include overlay text. Then you'll have your B-roll, you'll have your A-roll, then you'll have your music. And SFX is special effects. So you can also record some birds chirping, or if you're in a cafe, you can record like a barista making a coffee, just the noise. That also adds a really nice effect to it as well. So yeah, but the best thing about Filmora is that it has a whole training course included in it as well. So you can hop on and you can start from the real start and go to the advanced advanced elements of the software. So I would definitely worth checking that out. But like I said, I have included other softwares as well to the samples to our presentation. So video image aspect ratios, right? So here I was talking about how we can zoom in or crop in, and why we should shoot in 4K so that you can crop into that vertical without losing any information. We know that square is probably the most common. All the social media platforms seem to like square. So generally, you will create your videos for square. But also keep in mind that YouTube and our websites do also like our landscapes as well. But if you do shoot in landscape, just keep in mind that you are going to be creating a square edit in your post-production afterwards. I'd also say that if you are shooting in 4K, like I said before, you can crop in and get that vertical, and you can create nice stories. But generally, if you know that you're going to be creating a story, I would just shoot it in portrait. Just shoot it in portrait and edit. Instagram is great for just allowing you to edit straight away, and it's very easy to edit as well if you are just doing stories. So yeah. As you can see here, there's a big difference between the landscape and the square. You've just lost half of the information, half the image on the left here from the landscape image, the landscape format. Okay, music beds. So music bed's sole purpose is to add ambience or emotion to a video. Choosing music can be a timely process, so think about the feeling you want to portray before you search. I spend so long trying to find music. It's such a hard process. So really do you want happy-go-lucky upbeat vibe, or do you want a more classical music track? Just think about it before you go start searching. So I've also included some of the music sites. For the paid ones, I use Artlist, and I think it's very good. I've also used Epidemic Sound, another great site, another great music site as well, but you can get free ones. There is YouTube Auto Library, and there's Pixabay and Ben Sound. So check out those ones as well before you go before you go and sign up for a paid subscription. Okay, so Canva. I'm sure a lot of you already heard about Canva, but Canva is a great tool for when you want to add that little kind of professional touch to your images. And if you can have a template, so you have your own folder there, so you can bring in all your images, and then you pop them into a template and then pop them back onto your computer and do as you wish, pop them up onto your social media sites. The best thing also about Canva is it has a full tutorial as well that will take you through all the steps and how to create those best images. Okay, so GDPR, obviously another important one. When you are shooting footage of anybody, you must get a release form signed by them. Just make sure that they know what they're signing for and the duration of how long you want to use their image for. And if you pop over to the Fall to Ireland site, you will get a sample, you'll get a model release form there, a sample form on that one. Okay, and yes, I am now going to hand you over to Amanda. And thank you guys for listening. I know it was a bit of a rush one, but look, keep your questions for later.